Right now, in the United States of America, there are fruits that the federal government, state agriculture departments, and regulatory agencies have banned, restricted, or actively discouraged American citizens from growing. Fruits that millions of people around the world grow freely in their backyards. Fruits that have been feeding and healing human beings for thousands of years. And in some cases, fruits that grow wild across America that most people do not even know are edible. Now, some of these bans exist for genuinely legitimate reasons: agricultural protection, pest control, invasive species prevention. I am going to be completely honest with you about every single one, because you deserve accurate information, not just a clickable story. But some of these restrictions are going to make you genuinely angry, because some of the most nutritious, most medicinally powerful, most extraordinary tasting fruits on earth have been restricted in America, not to protect you, but to protect commercial agricultural interests that did not want the competition. 16 fruits, some federally banned, some state restricted, some quietly discouraged, all of them extraordinary, and every single one of them with a story that most Americans have never been told. And before we start, I need you to stay for this entire video. Because number 9 on this list is a fruit that grows completely wild across 26 American states, is considered one of the most delicious fruits ever tasted by everyone who has tried it, and is so completely unknown to most Americans that 99% of people drive past it every single day without having any idea it is there. Stay for that one. It is going to change how you see the landscape around you forever. Before we get into the list, drop a comment right now. How many of these 16 fruits do you think you can name before watching? Give me your best guess, 1 through 16, and tell me, have you ever been told you could not grow a specific fruit where you live? Drop it below. I want to hear your stories. All right, let us get into the list. And for each fruit, I am giving you 3 things: what it is, why it is restricted, and the honest truth about whether you can actually grow it where you live. No exaggeration, no misinformation, just the real facts. Number 1, ackee. The national fruit of Jamaica, one of the most beloved and culturally significant fruits in the entire Caribbean. The primary ingredient in Jamaica's national dish, ackee and saltfish. And in the United States, fresh ackee is federally restricted from importation by the FDA. Why it is restricted? Unripe ackee contains hypoglycin A, a compound that causes severe hypoglycemia, vomiting, and in extreme cases death, a condition called Jamaican vomiting sickness. The FDA banned fresh and frozen ackee importation in 1973, specifically because of cases of serious illness from improperly prepared unripe ackee. The honest truth: canned ackee that has been commercially processed to remove hypoglycin A is legal to import and purchase in the United States and is widely available in Caribbean grocery stores. Growing ackee trees is legal in warm climate states like Florida, Hawaii, and Southern California. The tree grows beautifully in USDA zones 10 to 11. The restriction is on importation of fresh fruit, not on growing the tree yourself. If you live in a warm enough climate, you can legally grow your own ackee, wait for full ripeness, indicated by the pod opening naturally, and enjoy one of the most extraordinary breakfast fruits in the world. Number 2, black currants. And this one genuinely makes people angry when they learn the full story. Because black currants are one of the most nutritionally dense fruits on earth, containing 4 times more vitamin C than oranges, powerful anthocyanins, and extraordinary antioxidant compounds. They are beloved across Europe, Asia, and Canada. They grow easily in American climates, and for most of the 20th century, they were federally banned in the United States. Why they were banned? In 1911, the federal government banned black currant growing because the plants can host white pine blister rust, a fungal disease that threatened the American timber industry's white pine trees. The ban was driven entirely by commercial timber interests, not by any concern for human health. The honest truth: the federal ban was lifted in 1966, and regulation was returned to individual states. Today, black currants are legal to grow in most American states. However, several states, including Virginia, still maintain restrictions on black currant cultivation. Check your specific state regulations before planting. In states where they are legal, Black currants are one of the most productive, most nutritious, most rewarding small fruit bushes you can possibly grow in a home garden. Number 3. Gooseberries. Sharing the same complicated regulatory history as black currants, gooseberries are also alternate hosts for white pine blister rust and were banned or restricted alongside black currants in the early 20th century. The honest truth: gooseberries are legal to grow in most American states today. Some states maintain restrictions on certain species, particularly Rebs species that are most susceptible to white pine blister rust. Resistant cultivated varieties have been developed specifically for American gardeners and are legal to grow even in restricted states. Check your state's Department of Agriculture regulations, and if gooseberries are legal where you live, grow them. They are extraordinarily productive, deeply flavorful, and one of the most underappreciated fruits in all of American gardening. Number 4. Pawpaw. And this one belongs on this list not because it is banned. It is completely legal to grow everywhere in America, but because it represents one of the most extraordinary cases of commercial agricultural suppression in American food history. The pawpaw is the largest fruit native to North America. It grows wild from Nebraska to the Atlantic coast, from the Great Lakes to northern Florida. It tastes like a cross between a banana, a mango, and a vanilla custard. George Washington loved them. Thomas Jefferson grew them at Monticello. Native American peoples across the eastern United States relied on them as a primary food source for thousands of years. Why you have never heard of it? Pawpaws bruise easily, ripen quickly, and have a shelf life of only 2 to 3 days after peak ripeness. This makes them essentially impossible to commercialize through the conventional grocery store supply chain, which requires fruit that can survive weeks of shipping and cold storage. So commercial agriculture simply ignored it. Stopped talking about it. And within 2 generations, most Americans forgot it existed entirely. The honest truth: pawpaw trees are completely legal to grow everywhere in the United States. They are actually one of the easiest native fruit trees to establish in home gardens, requiring minimal care once established, tolerating shade better than most fruit trees, and producing abundantly for decades. If you live anywhere in the eastern 2/3 of the United States, you can grow pawpaws. And you absolutely should. Quick question: had you ever heard of the pawpaw before this video? Because I genuinely believe the pawpaw is the single most important forgotten fruit in American food history. And I want to know how many people in this community have actually tasted one. Yes or no? Have you ever eaten a pawpaw? And if you have, describe the flavor in the comments, because I want new people to understand exactly what they have been missing. Drop it below. Number 5. Miracle fruit, Syncephalum dulcificum. And this small, humble, red berry from West Africa has one of the most extraordinary properties of any fruit on earth. It contains a glycoprotein called miraculin that binds to taste receptors on your tongue and makes everything you eat for the next 30 to 60 minutes taste sweet. Lemons taste like lemonade. Vinegar tastes like apple juice. Hot sauce tastes like donut glaze. Why it was suppressed? In the 1970s, an American entrepreneur attempted to commercialize miracle fruit as a natural sugar substitute for diabetics and dieters. A genuinely brilliant application for a fruit with no calories that makes food taste sweet. The FDA classified it as a food additive requiring extensive testing, a classification that many food historians believe was influenced by lobbying from the sugar industry, which stood to lose billions if a natural zero-calorie sweetener reached the American mass market. The honest truth: miracle fruit is completely legal to grow in the United States. It grows as a tropical shrub that thrives in containers indoors in most American climates. It is not commercially available in mainstream grocery stores, but the plant itself is freely available from specialty nurseries online. Growing your own miracle fruit and hosting miracle fruit tasting parties is one of the most extraordinary food experiences available to anyone curious enough to try it. Number 6. Elderberries, and specifically the American black elderberry, Sambucus nigra, which is completely legal to grow, but comes with important restrictions around consumption that most people are not told. Raw elderberries contain sambu nigrin, a compound that causes nausea and vomiting when consumed in quantity. Commercial elderberry products, elderberry syrup, elderberry gummies, elderberry tea, are all cooked or processed to neutralize sambunigrin before sale. Growing elderberries at home is completely legal and actually encouraged in many states as a native plant. The restriction is on raw consumption. Always cook or properly process elderberries before eating or making into preparations. Elderberry syrup, made from properly cooked homegrown elderberries, is one of the most powerful immune-supporting preparations available, backed by multiple clinical studies showing significant reduction in cold and flu duration and severity. Growing your own elderberry bush and making your own syrup represents real meaningful health and financial value for any American family. Number 7. Lychee. And fresh lychee importation from certain countries, particularly China, has been subject to significant USDA regulatory restrictions due to pest interception concerns. Specifically the oriental fruit fly and other agricultural pests that can accompany fresh lychee fruit. The honest truth. Growing lychee trees in the United States is completely legal in appropriate climate zones, primarily Florida, Hawaii, and Southern California. Lychee trees grown domestically are among the most coveted fruit trees in warm climate American gardens, producing extraordinary clusters of sweet floral fruit that sell for premium prices at farmers markets. If you live in a warm enough climate, lychee is not just legal to grow, it is one of the most profitable fruit trees you can put in your garden. Number 8. Breadfruit. One of the most extraordinarily productive and nutritious food plants in human history. A single breadfruit tree produces 200 to 800 fruits per year, each one roughly the size of a cantaloupe, containing substantial protein, complex carbohydrates, and a remarkable range of vitamins and minerals. Captain William Bligh's famous voyage on the Bounty was specifically a mission to transport breadfruit plants from Tahiti to the Caribbean as a food source for enslaved people. Fresh breadfruit importation is regulated by USDA due to agricultural pest concerns. Growing breadfruit in the United States is legal in USDA zones 9 to 12, primarily Hawaii, Florida, Puerto Rico, and warm coastal California areas. In appropriate climates, a single breadfruit tree planted in your yard represents one of the most extraordinary food security investments a family can make. Here is something I want you to think about right now. Every fruit on this list, every single one, has been restricted, suppressed, or discouraged not primarily for your safety, but for one of 3 reasons: agricultural commercial protection, pest management, or industry lobbying. And in almost every case, the fruit itself is legal to grow in at least some American states or climate zones, which means the question is not whether you are allowed to grow extraordinary fruit. The question is whether you know which extraordinary fruits you are allowed to grow in your specific location. And now, you are finding out. Okay, here's the question for this section, and I want completely honest answers. Were you aware that the black currant ban in America was driven by the timber industry rather than any health concern? Because when I first learned this, I genuinely could not believe it. A fruit that is freely grown and eaten across all of Europe and Canada, banned in America for decades to protect commercial timber profits. Does that make you angry? Tell me in the comments, yes or no, and tell me which restriction on this list surprises you the most so far. Drop it below. Okay, we are now at the section of this list I have been most excited about since we started, and specifically, number 9. The one I promised you at the very beginning. The fruit that grows completely wild across 26 American states that 99% of Americans have never tasted and drive past every single day without knowing it is there. The maypop, Passiflora incarnata, the North American native passion flower. And I want you to really hear what I am about to say. This fruit grows wild, completely wild, without any cultivation, without anyone planting it, in fields, along roadsides, in disturbed ground, in the edges of forests, across 26 states from Kansas to Florida, from Nebraska to the Atlantic coast. It has been growing wild in America since long before European contact. Native American peoples ate it, used it medicinally, and considered it one of the most valuable plants in their territory. It produces a fruit roughly the size of a hen's egg, with a pale yellow exterior that becomes wrinkled when fully ripe, exactly like its tropical cousin, and inside, a sweet, tart, tropical-flavored pulp surrounding edible seeds. The flavor is genuinely extraordinary, bright, floral, complex, unmistakably passion fruit. It is not banned, it is not restricted, it is not regulated, it is completely free and legal for anyone to forage or grow. And 99% of the Americans who live within walking distance of a wild maypop plant have absolutely no idea it is there. That right there. That is what happens when commercial agriculture decides a fruit is not worth promoting. An extraordinary edible fruit, growing wild across half the country, completely invisible to the people living among it. Number 10. Hawthorn berries. And hawthorn belongs on this list because while the fruit itself is completely legal to grow and eat, the FDA has actively restricted the ability of hawthorn product sellers to make the medicinal claims that thousands of years of use and significant modern clinical research support. Hawthorn has been used as a heart tonic in traditional medicine across Europe, Asia, and North America for centuries. Modern research has confirmed significant cardiovascular benefits, improved heart function, reduced blood pressure, reduced arterial inflammation. In Germany, hawthorn extract is approved as a standard treatment for early-stage heart failure. In America, sellers of hawthorn products cannot legally state these benefits on their labels without extensive FDA drug approval processes. Growing your own hawthorn tree, completely legal in all 50 states, and making your own preparations for personal use is perfectly legal. One of the most medicinally significant fruit trees you can plant in your garden. Number 11. Mulberries. And this one has one of the most uniquely American restriction stories on the entire list. Mulberries are not banned at the state or federal level, but several major American cities, including Tucson, Arizona, have officially banned the planting of new mulberry trees within city limits. Why they are banned in some cities? Mulberry trees produce extraordinary quantities of pollen that is among the most allergenic of any tree species, causing significant respiratory problems for allergy and asthma sufferers. Additionally, the ripe berries stain sidewalks, driveways, and surfaces with an almost impossible to remove deep purple pigment, leading to property damage complaints and significant municipal maintenance costs. The honest truth: outside of cities with specific mulberry ordinances, mulberries are completely legal to grow, and they are one of the most extraordinarily productive fruit trees available to American home gardeners. A mature mulberry tree produces fruit so abundantly that harvesting all of it is genuinely challenging. The fruit is sweet, complex, deeply flavored, and the tree requires almost zero care once established. Check your local municipal regulations before planting, but if mulberries are legal where you live, they are an extraordinary addition to any home fruit garden. Number 12. Starfruit. And starfruit belongs on this list because it carries a genuine and serious medical warning that most Americans have never been told, despite the fact that it is sold freely in grocery stores across the country. Starfruit contains high levels of oxalic acid and a neurotoxin called caramboxin that healthy kidneys filter out efficiently, but that accumulates to dangerous and potentially fatal levels in people with kidney disease or reduced kidney function. Multiple deaths from starfruit consumption have been documented in people with undiagnosed or untreated kidney conditions. The honest truth: starfruit is completely legal to grow in warm climate zones: Florida, Hawaii, Southern California. It is a beautiful, productive tropical fruit tree. If you have healthy kidney function, starfruit is a safe and delicious fruit. If you have any kidney condition or reduced kidney function, avoid starfruit entirely. This is one restriction that exists entirely for genuine health protection, not commercial or agricultural interests. And I want to pause here and say something important. The theme running through this entire list, the thing that connects all 16 of these fruits, is information. Access to accurate, honest, complete information about what you can grow, what you can eat, what has been kept from you, and why. That's what this channel is about. Not fear, not conspiracy, just honest information that empowers you to make better decisions about your food, your garden, and your health. And that is exactly why I need you to subscribe right now, because this kind of content, real, researched, genuinely useful, is what I put out every single week. Okay, the maypop question. After learning that a wild passion fruit grows completely free and edible across 26 American states, are you going to go look for one near where you live? Because I genuinely want to know how many people in this community are close enough to maypop territory to go foraging this season. Drop your state in the comments right now, and if you have ever seen or tasted a maypop, tell me about it. This comment section is about to become the most interesting maypop conversation on the entire internet. And now, the final four. And I saved some of the most extraordinary stories for right here at the end. Number 13, jabuticaba. And I need you to look at this, because jabuticaba produces fruit in a way that no other temperate fruit plant does. The fruits grow directly from the trunk and main branches of the tree rather than from the tips of branches. The entire trunk becomes covered in clusters of deep purple grape-like fruits that look like the tree is wearing jewelry. Jabuticaba is the national fruit of Brazil. It is so popular in Brazil that fresh jabuticaba markets operate 24 hours a day during harvest season. The flavor has been described as a cross between a muscadine grape, a lychee, and a plum, extraordinarily complex and deeply flavorful. Why you cannot buy it in America? Jabuticaba ferments within 3 to 4 days of harvest, making commercial distribution through conventional grocery supply chains essentially impossible. It is almost completely unavailable in American stores, but it grows in containers, slowly, patiently, eventually magnificently, in warm American climates and even as an indoor plant in cooler regions. Number 14, bale fruit. Sacred in Hindu tradition associated with the god Shiva, used medicinally in Ayurvedic medicine for over 5,000 years. The fruit contains extraordinary quantities of marmolesin, tannins, and flavonoids that have demonstrated significant antibacterial, antifungal, and digestive healing properties in clinical research. Bale is not banned in America. It is simply completely unknown. No commercial distribution, no grocery store presence. Completely invisible to the mainstream American food system, despite being one of the most nutritious and medicinally significant fruits cultivated anywhere on Earth. It grows in containers in warm American climates, zones 9 to 12, and deserves a place in every serious medicinal and edible garden in appropriate climates. Number 15, bitter melon, Momordica currantia. And this fruit belongs on this list because of one of the most significant and controversial suppression stories in American nutritional history. Bitter melon has been used as a treatment for diabetes in traditional medicine across Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean for centuries. Modern research has confirmed that bitter melon contains compounds, including carnitine, vicine, and polypeptide P, that have genuine blood sugar lowering effects comparable in some studies to certain pharmaceutical diabetes medications. In America, bitter melon products cannot legally claim to treat or manage diabetes without extensive FDA drug approval. The fruit itself is completely legal to grow and eat, widely available in Asian grocery stores, but the medical establishment and pharmaceutical industry have shown minimal interest in funding the large-scale clinical trials that would be required to bring bitter melon into mainstream American diabetes treatment. Growing your own bitter melon, completely legal, easy to grow as a warm season vine in containers, gives you direct access to one of the most clinically interesting fruits in traditional medicine. And number 16, our grand finale fruit, Monstera deliciosa. The fruit of the plant that is currently one of the most popular houseplants in America, sitting in millions of American living rooms right now, producing a fruit that almost nobody knows exists. The Monstera deliciosa, that beloved split-leaf tropical houseplant, produces an extraordinary fruit under the right conditions. The ripe fruit tastes like a combination of pineapple, banana, and vanilla. Genuinely one of the most complex and delicious flavors in the entire plant world. Why most people do not know. Monstera fruit takes 12 to 14 months to ripen fully after the flower appears. And unripe Monstera fruit contains calcium oxalate crystals that cause intense burning, swelling, and irritation of the mouth and throat, a genuinely unpleasant experience. This has given the plant a reputation for dangerous fruit when in reality, fully ripe Monstera fruit is safe, legal, and extraordinary. The restriction here is simply patience and knowledge. Ripe Monstera fruit is indicated by the scales on the exterior, beginning to separate and lift away from the fruit, revealing the creamy interior underneath. Never eat Monstera fruit before the scales begin to separate. Wait for complete ripeness, and then experience one of the most extraordinary fruits that millions of Americans are growing in their living rooms without ever knowing it. And here's the most important thing I want you to take from this entire list. You are surrounded by extraordinary fruit in your neighborhood, in your living room, growing wild along the roads you drive every day. The maypop growing wild across 26 states. The monstera fruiting in your living room. The pawpaw growing in eastern woodlands that most Americans drive past without a second glance. The knowledge gap, not a growing gap, not a climate gap, not a legal gap. The knowledge gap is the only thing standing between most Americans and an extraordinary abundance of fruit they already have access to. This video just closed that gap for you. Use that knowledge. Okay, the monstera question. Raise your hand in the comments if you have a monstera plant in your home right now and had absolutely no idea it could produce edible fruit. Because I have a feeling this is going to be one of the most mind-blowing revelations in this entire comment section today. Drop it below, and if you have ever seen a monstera fruit in person, tell me what it tasted like. I want every person in this community to know exactly what they might be growing in their living room right now. 16 fruits, some banned, some restricted, some suppressed, some simply forgotten. All of them extraordinary. Here is the truth that I want you to carry with you after this video ends. The American food system, for all its genuine abundance, has made a series of decisions over the past 100 years that quietly removed some of the most extraordinary fruits on earth from your awareness. Some of those decisions were made for legitimate reasons. Some were made for commercial reasons. And some were made because a fruit that you can grow yourself, forage from the wild, or process in your own kitchen, is a fruit that nobody can sell you. Every pawpaw you forage from a wild tree, every black currant you harvest from a bush in your garden, every maypop you find growing along a roadside in your state, every monstera fruit you wait patiently for on a plant in your living room, is a small, quiet act of food sovereignty, of knowing what is yours, of claiming the abundance that has always been available to you. You cannot grow everything on this list everywhere. Some of these fruits require warm climates. Some require patience. Some require checking your local regulations carefully before planting. But almost everyone watching this video, in almost every American state, can grow or forage at least 3 or 4 of the fruits on this list starting today. Know what is yours. Grow what you can. Share what you learn. And I want to end with a challenge. A real one. After this video ends, I want you to do one thing. Just one. Look up which fruits on this list are legal to grow in your specific state. Spend 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, because I guarantee in those 10 minutes, you're going to discover that you can legally grow at least 2 or 3 of the most extraordinary fruits on this entire list right where you live. And then come back to this video and tell me in the comments what you found. Because this community deserves to know what is possible. In every state, in every growing zone, for every person watching right now. And before you go, 2 things. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Because next week, I am going deep on several of these fruits with complete growing guides, harvesting instructions, and everything you need to actually grow the most extraordinary ones at home. You do not want to miss it. And share this video because the information in it deserves to reach every American gardener who has been told their options are limited. Help me prove that they are not. Share it today. And the final question, the one I have been saving for the very end. If you could make one of these 16 restricted or forgotten fruits completely freely available and widely grown across all of America, which one would it be and why? The pawpaw? Black currants? The miracle fruit? The maypop? Tell me your answer and your reasoning in the comments below, because I genuinely believe this comment section is about to have one of the most interesting conversations about American food culture, agricultural policy, and fruit-growing freedom that exists anywhere on the internet right now. I will be reading every single comment. I cannot wait to see what this community says. Keep growing, keep learning, keep claiming what is yours. I will see you in the next one. All right, my incredible community, 16 fruits America does not want you growing, with the real reasons behind every restriction and the honest truth about what you can actually grow where you live. The most powerful thing you can do with this information? Share it, grow something, and never let anyone tell you that extraordinary fruit is not available to you. Keep growing, keep going. I will see you in the next one.